Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live stream. My name is Derek Daniel, and if you're watching this on the replay, well, thank you so much for joining me. Sorry you couldn't make it to the actual live stream, but go ahead and feel free to leave all your comments, questions, and thoughts down below this video, and let me know what all of your thoughts are on the questions we're going to ask. Speaking of questions, we're playing Would You Rather today. Would You Rather, the blind edition. Now, when people say this, when I get the question, would you rather, I'm like, that sounds interesting. But it is the blind edition, and today I've got somebody with me, and it is a fellow visually impaired YouTuber. It's Cayla herself from Cayla with a C. Hi, Cayla. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. So glad that you could join me. Now, I will go ahead and say that this was Kayla's idea, so I got to give her props. We're actually stealing Sam from The Blind Life, and I believe it's Cassie from On the Fritz. Is that true? Do you know that, if that's really her name?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. So we've got Cassie and Sam who did this, and we thought this is a great idea. Got the challenge out there, so we're going to do that today. We've each got, I think, about 5 questions we're going to ask one another. And speaking of you guys, which we weren't, but we're speaking of now, we want you to leave all of your stuff in the chat box. So if you're joining us live here in the room, go ahead and leave your comments in the chat box. If you're on the desktop, it is to the right of the video player. And if you are on a mobile device, it is at the bottom as you're holding your phone in portrait mode. You might have to click and bring it up, or it might come up automatically. Usually on a live stream, it'll come up automatically. Cayla, I know that you are using it on your phone. Did it come up automatically for you?
I think it did. So just to let our viewers know, I'm running the live stream from my iPad, and then I've got it pulled up on my phone, and I have headphones so I can listen to the comments with voiceover. But I've never done a live stream before, so I'm still trying to just figure all of this out.
Oh, well, it's going to be a great day. I've done at least one before, so we should. It's my second day, as I usually say. All right, so let's go into the chat. Let's see what we got here. We've got Jenny says hello. Hello, Jenny. Odyssey of Stephen. Hello, Stephen. Let's see. We got who else? On the Fritz, and who is Cassie? We just found out.
Yep.
I'm probably going to butcher names, so my apologies. Khalid says hi. Vincent Grasso, who has the longest channel name I've ever seen.
Hey,
Let's see. Let's see here. Melanie says, hey, y'all. Juan from JC5 Productions. Hey, Derek and Cayla. My gosh, we got lots of folks here. David Akers. Hey, everyone. Cassie says she's so excited for us. That's awesome. All right.
Thanks for letting us steal your idea, Cassie.
Absolutely. And it looks like maybe my site is poor, but it looks like it's supposed to say Mohammed, but it looks like it says it twice. So Mohammed, if your name is typed twice, you just let me know. But they say hi. Lynn says hi to Derek and Cayla from the UK. I love hearing from people across the world. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
All right. And Cassie says you're welcome. Well, good. Glad we could steal this. Charlie says hello. I don't know how many people are watching it right now. I don't have that in front of me.
I don't see that either.
It might say it where it normally would say how many views, but I honestly don't know that. I'm using the back end instead of the front end right now, so that's okay. All right.
Mine says live chat 4, but there's more than 4 comments in here, so I don't think that's right.
Probably not, no. Charlie is from the UK as well. That's pretty awesome.
When I saw the name of this video on my subscription feed, I had to check it out.
Juan from JC5 Productions says when he saw the name of this on his subscription feed, he had to check it out. It does sound weird when we put would you rather. Because when I was thinking about it, I was like, I don't know if this is appropriate, but I'm sure it's clickbait. So there you go, Juan. We've got you with the clickbait. Let's see. Okay, Muhammad said yes, he typed it twice. Good, I got his name right. Okay, and then David tells us his says there's 15 watching right now. So good. That's great. 15 in the room. Awesome. Well, like I said, we're going to play this game. I'm going to let Cayla go first here in just a minute, but always feel free to leave all of your views and thoughts and such in the chat box. Leave us your answers for the questions we ask, and we hopefully will get to some of them. So I'm going to hop over to Cayla and let her ask her first question. I'll answer, she'll answer, and we'll see what the chat box says as well. So Cayla, go for it.
Okay, so my first question is, if you were sighted, which of these sighted careers would you rather have? Would you rather be a pilot or a doctor?
If I were sighted, would I rather be a pilot or a doctor?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, my first thought is not as much chance crashing a plane if I was a doctor. So that's good. But I don't love the responsibility. I don't like the responsibility of either, to be honest. I guess, though, if I were sighted and I had to choose one, I think I'd probably want to be a pilot, because just the idea of traveling a lot sounds interesting to me. So I'd probably go with pilot. What about you, Cayla? Obviously, you've thought of this question, so what would you say?
I'm not sure. I think I'd probably go with neither. If I had to choose, since that's kind of what this game is about, if you had to choose, I don't know. Part of me wants to say doctor because I like to help people. That's kind of my thing, but I'm really squeamish, so I don't think that would make a good doctor. So I would maybe have to go with pilot as well.
So your default answer would be none of the above,
Right.
but if you had to choose one. All right. Looks like Cassie from yeah, definitely. I think I like flying. Obviously I'm getting ready to go get the guide dog in just a few weeks, and I'll be flying out to Oregon. And I like the idea of flying. I like the idea of traveling and such. So yeah, I think pilot would work for sure. All right, looks like, and again, leave your thoughts and comments in the chat box. Which would you choose, pilot or doctor? Let's see here. We've got a couple more. I want to make sure we get. Muhammad says a pilot, certainly. Yes, a pilot for sure. Let's see. Juan says pilot. Juan wanted to be Juan wanted to be a pilot as a kid, but he's scared of heights.
Oh.
Yeah, I think that's probably the next worst thing. First, if you're blind, you shouldn't be a pilot, and secondly, if you're afraid of heights, you shouldn't be a pilot. So sorry, Juan, no air travel for you. All right. Well, let's go to my first question. And again, if you want to leave your comments on pilot or doctor, feel free to leave that as well. Okay. So this again is, if you could see, if you have sight, would you rather look at a sunset, like on the beach or something, or would you rather visit an art gallery?
It's a good question. I think I would go with the art gallery because I feel like I've seen sunsets, probably not like how sighted people have seen sunsets, but since they're, really big and colorful, I've seen some of one, but paintings, I don't really see any of those. So I think I'd pick art gallery.
Art gallery. All right.
Yeah.
Well, as I was thinking about this, I thought sunset sounds pretty, and there's nothing probably like experiencing it firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
But I could also get somebody to paint a really detailed picture of it and hang it in an art gallery. So I would probably choose art gallery, because maybe I could get the best of both worlds in that case.
Good point.
Yeah. So I like art. When I think of art, it could be such a wide variety of things. It could be paintings, sculptures. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. So I think I'd probably go art gallery in that case.
Yeah, I think so too. I know, since I just went to Italy last month, and there's a lot of art there, a lot of art galleries, a lot of paintings, and all the buildings there. And I'm just walking around like, I can't see any of this. Like, can we? Oh, I'm bored.
Yeah. Let's see. let me jump back into the chat for a second. So Lynn Nichols says that they would rather have neither pilot or doctor because they're afraid of heights and afraid of doctors, I think. Well, I'm sorry. They're afraid of heights, so they're stuck with doctor. That's what they said. Okay, then we've got Charlie says art gallery. Melanie says art gallery. Let's see what else. We've got Martin. Oh, Martin is from Ireland. Awesome. Cassie says art gallery. Let's see.
My site loss is relatively recent, but I love
shoot. Lynn says they love art. Juan says art gallery. Vincent says that he'd like to see a painting of the sunset. Yeah. Independently Blind is in the room, says, may the force be with us. I've got my Star Wars shirt on, if for those of you who have a little bit of sight remaining. Juan said that Juan says he'd pick art gallery because paintings aren't bright enough to strain your eyes.
That's a good point.
Yes, nobody ever is accused of losing sight by staring at a painting, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Watching that sunset can be kind of painful if your eyes are sensitive to the sun. So
totally, that's totally true. Stephen says that he would say an art gallery full of sunsets. Yes, that's that's such a political answer, I feel like.
Get both of the things.
And Carrie from Live Accessible is here and says hello to everyone, so that's awesome. All right, well, it looks like art gallery is the clear winner, so there you go.
All right.
All right, Kayla, what we got number 2 for you. Go ahead and ask your second question.
Okay, so my next question, since we're both Disney people, I had to have a Disney related question. So would you rather be able to go to Disney World with 20/20 vision and be able to see it in all of its glory, but that's the only time you can go, you can't ever go again? Or would you rather just continue to go visually impaired as often as you normally would?
Well, I do like the idea of seeing Disney World, like, you know, looking at all the detail that Disney puts into things. Mm-hmm. But going once sounds awful. So, like, I want to go as many times. We're going next year, and I'm like, we got to go again. So, yeah, I think I would definitely go all that I could and just have the vision that I have. When I went last time, I used the audio description device, which really kind of brought the park to life. And, you know, while it is a very visual park, there's lots of visual details. There's so much that you can sort of partake in that isn't necessarily visual. So I think I would go 1,000 times, as many times as possible. What about you, Kayla? Would you go only once to see it, or as many times as you could?
So this is a really hard question. I know I came up with it, and I don't know, because Disney World is like probably the #1 thing on my list of like things that I would want to see if I could see, and I'd almost give about anything to be able to see it. And like you said, all the little details that Disney is known for, but I don't know, only going once, I don't think so. I think I would just pick being able to go as often as I want, because we go like once a year, maybe even twice a year, and every time we get back, I'm like, I'm ready to go again on the plane ride home. So
yeah, me too, I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't think going once, even though being able to see it would be great, I don't think I would want to just go once and then never go again. That sounds awful.
Yeah, that does sound awful. I agree. Let's jump into the chat here. Let's see what everybody else has to say.
See if we have any Disney people among us.
Yes, we'll see. Carrie says, totally agree, Derek. Yes, absolutely. Cassie from On the Fritz says, as much as I can for sure. Vincent says, just the fact that my vision may be back for that amount of time. I guess he said he'd take Disney, maybe just the one time. That brings up an interesting point. Like, it's the idea of, and again, we won't dive too deep into this. Maybe I'll make a video. I've made other videos, but the idea of getting our sight back versus, for the purpose of seeing Disney. It's like, oh, well, that's why I would choose go all the time, because it's like, yeah, I might want my sight back, but it's going to go away again. If in this regard, I would assume that, we're just going to have sight for 5 minutes to see Disney or whatever, and then it's going to go away again. So I think I would go all the time because, well, my sight's going to go away again eventually. So let's get used to it.
Right.
Muhammad says he would go lots of times with no vision. So in that case, long live the blindness. Independently Blind, who is also a Star Wars fan, says I would go every day of the week, especially now the Galaxy's Edge is open. Yes, I can't wait. I got to wait over a year to go to Galaxy's Edge. Yes. Now, Cayla, are you a Star Wars fan at all?
I'm not, but my husband is, so it's working in my favor because now that Galaxy's Edge is open, and I'm like, hey, let's plan another Disney trip, instead of him being like, Disney again. He's like, okay, yeah, I want to see Galaxy's Edge, so
let's do it.
So I think about going in January, so not too far away.
Yeah. Well, I'm jealous of you for sure. We're not going until next October, although we are going to try to hit the, what's it called, the Mickey's Halloween's Not So Scary, whatever.
We did that a couple years ago. It was awesome. I really loved it.
I've heard lots of people had lots of good comments about it. So let's hit another couple of chats. Lori says, I would want to go as often as I wanted, by far. Absolutely. Let's see here. Let's see. Carrie says, oh, it looks like she started typing and it went up because she typed, we went for, and then there was something else. Steven says, since he lives about 2 hours away from Disney World, he want to go all the time. Yes, I would too. I'm so jealous. Ooh, Jordan says they would like to go in October. They're a Nightmare Before Christmas fan, so that's pretty cool. Carrie says they went there for the Extreme Home Makeover, and it was awesome going there with tour guides. That'd be interesting. Now, Cayla, have you ever done any of the tours that Disney offer? We got Disney on the brain. We might have to get off of this, or we'd be on this all day. But have you ever done any of the tours?
I haven't. I would like to, though. I've watched YouTube videos. Like I pretty much watch blind YouTubers and Disney YouTubers. That's pretty much what I watch. So I've seen some of them go on some of the tours, and they always look neat.
Over the years, vision is overrated.
Well, I think that if you're a Disney fan, you'd probably want to go all the time. If you're kind of mediocre or not a huge fan, you'd probably want to go see it with vision. That's probably the consensus, I think. It looks like that from the chat room as well. So,
yeah. All
right. Well, let me get into my second question. We're only on the second question. Disney ones are going to throw us off, aren't they, Cayla? Yeah. All right. Now, this one I asked, it kind of involves a plane, but it's less about a job. This one is, if you could see, would you rather drive a race car or fly a plane?
I think I would. Am I a good race car driver? Like, can I do that safely?
Can I do that? Yes, you would do both of them safely. You would not crash the car or the plane.
Okay. I think I would pick driving a race car because I think that would be more fun. Because when you fly on a plane, it's like, it's not really a fun experience. It doesn't you don't really get that adrenaline, but I think driving a race car, it would kind of be, you get like that kind of like roller coaster type of film. So I think that driving a race car sounds more fun.
Like I said, I do like to fly, but I do agree with your point about sort of the rush, the adrenaline that you would get, going 200 miles an hour. Now, granted, the plane's going really fast, but you don't really feel that the plane is going that fast. So, yeah, I think I would agree with you on that. I think I'd have to go race car as well. I hadn't thought about the, the idea of the adrenaline rush. Let's see. Let's go to the chat. We've got On the Fritz says fly a plane. Then Jordan says drive a car. Looks like, stop moving so fast on me. Tracy says race car. We've got another race car from Melanie. Carrie says she would want to fly a small plane if she could see the horizon down below her. So that wasn't part of the stipulation necessarily, but I guess if you could see to fly the plane, you would be able to see down below you. So, you know, that has something to do with it for sure. Let's see. Drive a race car from Independently Blind. Muhammad says
I would choose
flying a plane. Charlie says fly a plane. Oh, Charlie's driven a race car with someone beside them, and the reactions were a little slow. So it's like, well, of course, if you could see, you might be a little bit different. But flying a plane on that one. Let's see. Melanie says, ooh, Melanie says you could always fly a fighter plane, like you know, something in the military. I'm like, oh, that's true. I don't know how much the clearance you'd get to fly that plane, but that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Race car from Steven. Lori says, not much of an adrenaline junkie, so want to fly, let's see, fly into a sunset. That sounds dangerous to me. I'm not sure you would, you would want to fly directly into the sun. I get your point, you know, fly towards that, but I'm going to hit the sun. And then Jenny says fly a plane. Looks like flying the plane is the consensus for most people. So I think the idea is so different when you're up in the air versus down on the ground. But I agree with your point as well, Cayla, the idea of like having that adrenaline rush. Again, kind of one of those things, if you're a Disney junkie versus not, you're going to answer differently. If you're an adrenaline junkie versus not, you might answer differently as well. So,
right. And I wonder if a lot of blind people are adrenaline junkies because, you know, we can't see, but like feel is one of our main senses. So to like, you know, feel that adrenaline or driving a race car, riding a roller coaster, you know, that type of feeling is something that we can really enjoy, and we don't like lose any of that by not being able to see.
True, maybe that's a good point. Not me. I get motion sick, so I'm like, no thanks. I'll sit down here on this bench because we went to a theme park a few weeks ago and rode the roller coasters. My wife really likes roller coasters, and so yeah, I'll ride them. And I was like, oh, why did I do this? This is a horrible mistake. But yeah, I think that, you know, probably is true.
My motion sickness has gotten worse as I've gotten older. Like when I was younger, I'd ride anything and everything. The spinny rides upside down, it didn't matter. And now I've gotten to, I'm like, okay, no spinny, no upside down, but I'm good with the rest. So I don't know. I see it's like getting worse as I get older.
Yeah, that's true for me too. Like I always tell people, ride a roller coaster with your eyes closed and see how it feels. It's usually not near as exciting. It makes you sick. There was a comment, it was from Blind Jer, I think Jer, said, or fly like Iron Man. If that was a choice, I'd fly like Iron Man for sure. You know, strap the suit on me and let's go.
Yeah.
All right, Cayla, looks like it's your turn. Number 3 question from you.
Okay, so my third question, if you had to pick one thing, either listening to music or listening to audiobooks for the rest of your life, you can only pick one. Which one would you choose?
Music. That's an easy one for me because I'm such a music lover, a music person, and I've come from a musical theater background and I love music. So yeah, and while I like audiobooks and I think they're enjoyable, in fact, I'm listening to one right now, I just don't think I could go, if I had to choose one or the other, I couldn't go without music. So yeah, definitely music for me. What about you, Cayla?
I totally agree with you. I like audiobooks, but I could live without them. And I don't think I could live without music.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't think so. Looks like the chat's, let's see, music. Looks like music's probably the consensus. Let's see.
That's a tough one.
Jordan says that's a tough one. It's to be hard to choose between them.
Audiobooks, absolutely.
So Melanie, though, says audiobooks. All right, there you go. Juan says music.
Memories are very much tied to music.
Juan says that he says music, and he says nostalgia and memories are tied to music a lot of times. And that's very true. You know, maybe that song that was playing somewhere, or even like we were talking about Star Wars earlier, you know, that music comes on. It's very like, it gives you the feels or whatever. So yeah, music for sure. I would definitely choose that.
I have a memory attached to probably every song I've ever heard. I have like a ridiculous memory. I remember everything. So I'm like, oh, I remember this song. It was playing in the car on the way home from when that boy broke up with me when I was 13.
Oh, that's so depressing, Cayla.
I have attached like every song I've ever heard.
That's funny. Yeah, that is true. We do have that connection, you know, with music. Like I heard this, or this is our song, or things like that. Muhammad says music, especially blues and jazz, plays the harmonica. That's awesome. Love the harmonica. Lynn says, sorry, they're sticking with books. You don't have to be sorry. This is your choice. You can choose whatever you want. So if you like books, I say go for it.
I'm kind of, some people are picking books because if everyone said music, then I would be like, okay, well, this maybe wasn't the best question because there's no debate. So I'm glad that some people are debating it and are picking books. It makes
True.
that's
There you go. You chose a good question, Cayla. Let's see. Carrie says audiobooks. She says, I'm a nerd, LOL. No, you're not a nerd. I mean, we're all nerds to a certain extent. Like I said, I like audiobooks a lot. I've got a question about audiobooks later, but I think I would choose that. Somebody said podcasts. That's an interesting thought. Like you can get a lot from podcasts for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. And Steven says music as well. I think most people, at least in the chat, have chosen music. But as you said, at least there is that debate of like, no, I think I'd go with books. The thought of knowledge and story and character and all those sort of things.
Yeah.
Just as a side note, do you use any sort of music streaming?
I do use Spotify.
There you go, Spotify. Just as a side note, I will say a couple of months ago, I did sort of a side-by-side trial. I had Google Play and YouTube for a while. I did Apple Music and Spotify. And just as having nothing to do with blindness or sight loss or anything else, it seemed like Spotify did win on like just music curation and recommendations and things like that. Their app is pretty accessible. I think I might do a video about that soon, at least their iPhone app anyway. And so it's pretty accessible, and I like to use it a lot. So yeah, I definitely use Spotify. If you have another streaming service you like, you can recommend that in the chat box as well. But so far, Spotify's definitely winning.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm going to check one more thing.
Just have to get more friends and choose books and music. Hang out with friends and have audiobooks and music together.
All right. So let me go. Let's see here.
Cayla, hope you have student discount for Spotify.
Oh, Cayla. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said I do have a student discount for Spotify.
Oh, yeah, because Carrie recommended that. I wish I was a student. Then I could go. My son's a student. Does that count? Of course, he's in middle school, so it probably doesn't count.
Yeah, I think you have to use like your school email address to sign up for it.
Yeah, I think so. Let's see. Okay, well, let me go to my third question here. That's what we're on, right? Number 3?
Yes.
Okay.
Would you rather watch the fireworks show
Okay, I'm going for my Disney question this time. All right, so this is if you could see, all right, at Disney, and I may get the name of this wrong, but forgive me. If you could see, would you rather watch the fireworks show at the end of the night, or would you rather watch the electric light parade that happens with all the lights and everything all over the floats?
So like the Main Street electrical parade, that one?
Yeah, the electrical parade. Yeah.
Okay. There's also the like electrical water pageant thing.
Oh yeah. No, this is the one like the Main Street, you know, with all the floats.
Okay. Okay. That's really hard. So for the fireworks are one thing that I can still see pretty well, but then they do all those projections on the castle, which are apparently
Yes.
ridiculously awesome that everyone raves about.
What they say.
But the parade is something that that I can't really see much of at all. I think I talked about this in one of my videos. We went around Christmas time and they had the Christmas nighttime parade and it was in the dark and I couldn't see anything and I cried.
Oh no.
It was sad. So I would maybe go for the parade, I think. I think I'd pick the parade.
The parade. All right. I think for me, I definitely like the idea of the projections. You know, my family has mentioned the projections on the castle are really cool, so that would be neat. But I have enough vision to kind of notice the lights and such on the floats, but they all just kind of blend into one big kind of conglomerate of lights. I can't tell what anything is specifically.
Mhm.
Like if it's a character lit up, I can't tell the character. And I can sort of see the fireworks. I've never been a huge fireworks person. I'm like, great, fireworks, hey, whatever. So I probably would go with the parade as well because I just like the idea of being able to see how they string all those lights together, make the characters light up and things like that. So yeah, I'd probably go with the parade also.
Okay. If you're ever in Disneyland, or I don't think they're doing it anymore, but we went to Disneyland last year and they were doing it was called the Paint the Night parade and it was like lit up like super bright, but I didn't know it. So when we, at the end of the night, we're like, do we want to ride one more ride or do we want to watch the parade? And I was like, well, I probably won't be able to see the parade anyways, so let's just do the ride.
Mm-hmm.
So we did the ride, and when we came out, we saw like just the very tail end of the parade, and it was like super bright and colorful. And I was like, oh no, I probably would have been able to see this one because it was,
No.
but I missed it. So if
And
they
I
ever
cried again.
night parade, it's pretty visible for
Yeah.
visually impaired people.
There is a rumor the fireworks
Gotcha.
are going away here in Anaheim. So big fireworks. Lynn Nicholson.
Let's see. The fireworks are going away in Anaheim, so they choose fireworks. Gosh, I hope not. That'd be rough. Looks like we got some tough decision. A couple people said tough decision.
Fireworks for me.
Let's see.
Sure as I've not seen the displays before.
So
I guess you don't miss what you've never had.
Charlie says they've never seen it at all, so you don't miss what you've never, experienced. So that's fair. Let's see. Fireworks. Somebody mentioned Fantasia is my favorite. That's from the Blind Beard, excuse me. Fantasia, is that the one in Hollywood Studios?
If do you mean Phantasmic?
Phantasmic, that's what it is. Fantasia is the movie. Phantasmic is the one in Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, I think they do it at Hollywood Studios, and
I'm clearly
good at Disneyland in California too.
I'm clearly terrible with names.
Yeah.
Let's see. Fireworks. A lot of people said fireworks. That seems pretty like the consensus. And then we do have a few light parades. So,
Paint tonight is amazing.
Independently Blind says the contrast of paint tonight is amazing. Interesting. I've never been to Disneyland. I've only been to Disney World. So
You should
go ahead.
Disneyland. You have to experience them both.
Somebody mentioned that, like, I feel like Disneyland, somebody said Disneyland was a lot smaller than Disney World. Is that the case?
Yeah, because they only have 2 parks instead of 4.
Gotcha. Now, what's your favorite, this is a side note, what's your favorite park to go to, Cayla?
Definitely Magic Kingdom. I like the Mickey and Minnie and the castle and the princesses, and it's just like standard Disney magic. So
yes,
definitely Magic Kingdom.
Very Disney for sure.
Yeah. What about you?
It's hard. I do definitely like Magic Kingdom. I do want the traditional Disney, I want that feel. But I'm a big nerd and I like Hollywood Studios. So I like the movie and the even some of the stuff like there's a place in Hollywood Studios that has different like head like busts of different actors and actresses, and I really like that kind of stuff as well. So it's I think I would choose Magic Kingdom if I could only go to one, but I do like Hollywood Studios, especially now that they're going to have Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah. Have you been to Toy Story Land yet?
No, we have not.
Okay. We
Good.
went I really like the Slinky Dog Dash roller coaster.
Oh, okay.
It was really cute.
Now, do you normally go to where are you located? Are you in the southern part of the country, eastern, western?
I have not disclosed my location.
Ah, she is smart, I've got to say. Um, I do know that for me, I'm in the Midwest, and so I'm closer to Disney World. I can definitely say that. It would be a good trek to get out to California for me.
Yeah. I will say
So,
closer to Disney World than Disney,
okay.
but it's a pretty large area to cover, so it probably takes
Oh,
you
yeah.
quite a while to find me just based on that.
Oh, absolutely. That could be, I mean, that could be anywhere. So, um, so you definitely don't live in the West. We can give that away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've only been to the West a couple of times, so I think I'd like to go, but you know. Anyway, we're getting off topic now. We're getting back to Disney stuff. Let's see. Sorry, everybody. Okay, looks like we're on question number 4, Kayla. So I think it's your turn. So go for it.
Okay, so let me think. I don't have any of these like written down or anything. Okay, so if you could have 20/20 vision, would you rather have it for the first half of your life or the second half of your life?
How long am I living? I guess is the question.
I don't know, a regular amount, like
Okay,
the average 80 or
80.
something.
Okay. Would I rather have it for the first half or the second half? Well, the first thing that comes to mind is I won't have kids in the first half. Well, I'll have them, but not for most of it, let's say. So to see my kids, I'm probably uh, but growing up and experiencing things because you make a lot of memories with such, that would be, you'd want to do all the sort of exciting stuff when you're young, because let's say I, get sight when I'm 40, let's say, for example, and now I'm a little older, maybe can't do all of the, things you would want to do, like climbing a mountain or something. Not that I would climb a mountain, but yeah, but I do think I would have more money the second half of my life, I hope. I guess for me, I would, just thinking about the kids and then the grandkids and such, I would choose the second half of my life to have sight.
Okay.
What about you?
I think I would pick the first half.
Okay.
To just like be able to experience everything and live a normal childhood and be like a normal teenager and experience that, because I think I don't know, I feel like it's easier to be a blind adult than it was to be a blind child, because I think adults are easier to kind of accommodate than kids are, because like if you don't if you if you're a kid and you're playing on the playground and your friends are playing without you, they don't maybe think to say come over and say, hey Cayla, we're over here, where maybe adults would do that. I don't know, a lot of them don't, but
Depends on what adults you've met.
yeah. But I don't know, just to be able to see that kind of stuff, and I'd have vision like for my wedding, and I'm hoping I'll have kids before 40. So, if I have them when I'm 30, then that's still, I can see them for 10 years. But I don't know, it's hard because if you don't have vision the first 40 years and then you do have it after, it's like you appreciate it so much because you're like, wow, I have vision and now I'm gonna
Wow.
do all these things. But if you have it the first half, then you kind of have to deal with the adjustment of losing it. And I don't know. It's a hard question, but I think I would pick the first half.
First half. All right. Well, and that's a good point. There's definitely a difference between having sight and losing it versus not having sight and gaining it. That would be a whole different emotional experience for sure.
Yeah.
First half. Lots of
Let's see.
in my mind's eye in the second half.
David says first half, lots of memories to replay in the second half.
Tough one.
Um,
I'd abstain from answering that.
We've got a few people that are like, this is really tough. This is a tough question. Let's see. Somebody said, I think it was Blind Beard who said they would choose half sight for their whole life. So,
Well, that's what we already have. So
yeah, that's what I have that now. I'm good to go. I think they said that as well. Juan says lots of pros and cons for each. Cassie from On the Fritz says second half. Old enough to remember things. Let's see.
I think that's a good point, because I think back, because even though I was born legally blind, I could see better as a kid than I do now. And so it's like I'm able to picture things and remember what things look like. So I do think that's a big advantage to having it the first half, because you have all of those visual memories.
That is true. That's a good point. Like when somebody says, you know, oh, this shirt is red, you know what red looks like. You know, you've got a very concrete example there. Melanie said that they lost their sight a couple years ago, and so they're going to go, and they're in at 48. They're 48, and so they would go with experience and say having sight in the first half. So because now they're in their second half and they're losing sight, so they got that experience. I lost my. Go ahead, Cayla.
Of the other, because I don't think anyone was blind and then magically got their sight back. So I don't think anyone's experienced the other.
No one I know, at least at this point. So if you do know anybody, let me know. But yeah, I mean, I lost my sight when I was 18, so it's kind of, you know, just in this weird area. And Cayla, you mentioned being born with this, obviously. So you know, your sight is sort of progressing. And that's the interesting part. Like my sight I went from 20/20 to this in like 6 weeks, whereas you were born with this and have slowly progressed all the way up to this point. So just different ways of blindness, and video blindness is a spectrum. We all see a little different, have different things, and experience sight loss very differently as well. So yeah, that was a hard question. I think most people in the chat would agree that that's an interesting question to think about. Like, when would I want to see things, and why would I want to see things? And not only that, would I want to go from sighted to blind, or from blind to sighted, that emotional upheaval and everything. So yeah, gave us a good one there, Cayla. Geez, making us all think.
Yep.
Let's see. Okay, let's go to my question number 4. Okay, so this is that audiobook question I was talking about. Would you rather have sight and be able to read an actual book, or not have sight and listen to an audiobook?
Well, it's an interesting question, because I currently don't have sight and listen to audiobooks. So it's like, that's what I already do. So would I want to do something different and be able to see and like actually read a book with my eyes? Which, I mean, when I was younger, I was able to read a book with like a magnifier, or I'd have large print books. So I kind of know what that's like, but it would take me forever to read, and it was really a strain. So it was exhausting. So, part of me says that I would want to experience just being able to read with my eyes and have that be like an easy task and be able to read quickly. But I like I like being able to multitask and listen to an audiobook. You like put it on while I'm cleaning or washing dishes or like taking a bath or something. So I think I'd stick with the audiobook.
That's a really good point. For me, I would go with the audiobook, and the reason is when I could see perfectly, I hardly ever read a book. Like I forced myself to read them for school, and even then it was like, nah. But then I got into audiobooks because when I went to get my first guide dog, I was just sort of, I had downtime, and they were like, this was back when they had the big yellow, you know, double-sided tapes, and there was like 27 tapes for a book and things.
Yeah.
And so I got into it then. I was like, wow, I really like this. Because a lot of audiobooks, not everyone, but a lot of them will have the narrator will do the voices, and it's much more of a theatrical production versus reading off the page.
Yeah.
And while there's a certain level to say, like, oh, I'd want to make up my own inflection and noises and things like that, I like being lost in that, you know, with that person doing the voices. I know I really like John Grisham, and there's a narrator who reads a lot of his book. His name's Michael Beck, and he does just a fantastic job. And so, yeah, I would choose audiobooks because even when I could see, I didn't read that much. Plus, I love multitasking for sure. So, yeah, I would go with audiobooks. All right, let's jump into the chat. Let's see what other people have to say here. Oh my gosh, where am I? I'm lost. Here we go. Let's see.
Actually, one of my relatives had her sight restored by a surgery at age 70 and had been blind in one eye since 18 months old.
Oh, hold on just a second. So there's somebody. It's
her good eye was like Coke bottle glasses. Double hearing aid attached.
So some Safe Pet Haven mentioned that they had somebody who had surgery to have sight, regain sight at the age of 70. So that's interesting. That's cool. Good for them. Let's see. Okay. Cassie on the Fritz says, have sight and read the book. They like that physical aspect of holding a book. And I know some people have said that they just want to hold the book. You know, I need that physical thing in my hand.
Yeah, I get that. And like being able to smell it. I know like it sounds weird, but I feel like a lot of people talk about how like a new book smells.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So I get that. Because sometimes my husband likes to go to Barnes & Noble to look around a lot, and I'll like pick up a book and just like flip through it just to have that feeling. So I do get that.
It is, absolutely. And I love smelling a book. I don't know what it is. Like when I walk into a Barnes & Noble or something, and if my son, who's a teenager, I'll be sniffing a book. He's like, what are you doing? Like, smell it. Okay, then we've got Tracy says, read a book. Let's see. Len says, loves reading, but loves the audiobook so they can do housework at the same time. Yep, got to multitask. David says, used to love reading, but with sight loss, audiobooks are so convenient, and that's so true. Independently Blind says something with the audiobook. Yeah, and Independently Blind said the same. They're very theatrical these days. And he and I probably read Star Wars books, and they're real theatrical. They have the Star Wars music and the noises and the voices and all that stuff. It's really cool.
That's pretty cool.
Charlie says reading a book. Juan says yes. Oh, gotcha. Okay. So Juan says reading a book with sight because you can determine how the characters sound and not be at the mercy of a bad narrator. And that's fair. There are some narrators who are like, I can't listen to this. This is awful. Like,
bad narrators really ruin an audiobook.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's see. I was a massive reader before, but like can multitask while listening. But there are some books are ruined by the narrator.
Fran says again, was a big reader before, but like Cayla, I like the multitasking, and also mentioned that a narrator can ruin a book. So I think that's a good consensus.
I use my CCTV to read paperwork with the little bit of existing vision I have left, but I do love audiobooks.
My RP Life says they use a CCTV to read some things with the remaining vision, but they love audiobooks. And whenever Sam and Cassie played this game, I think Sam asked the question, would you rather read a book with your magnifier or listen to an audiobook? I would never read a book with my magnifier. I couldn't get through it. After at the first page, I'd be like, nope, I'm done.
Right.
So do you think you'd be the same? I don't know how much vision you have, Cayla, but can you use a magnifier at this point?
Not really. Maybe if it was to read something very, very short, like if I'm trying to read a phone number or something, and that's about all I can handle with the eye strain.
Gotcha.
I don't
Yeah,
have,
I think.
but back when I could read with a CCTV and magnifier and stuff, like I said, it was just so much effort to read. So yeah, I don't really miss
So I
those
get frustrated
days.
when I can't read
Yeah.
other printed materials. I really
Let's
enjoy
see.
audiobooks. Podcast definitely.
Let's see.
I miss the sound of my mom's voice reading to me as a child. Sadly, oops, just burned my pizza. I misread him books for myself, but it's Cayla said I love the aspect of being.
Let's see.
I misread him books for myself, but it's Cayla said I love the aspect of being able to multitask while listening.
Multitasking,
So
yes.
I think I'm going to have to go with audiobook.
All right. Well, it looks like most consensus would say audiobook, especially for the multitasking purposes. But there are a few definitely holdouts want to hold that book and have that inflection that they make up. So I think, but I do love a good audiobook. Especially now that I can have them on my iPhone. I don't have to drag around a player or a separate device. It's pretty fantastic. So if you guys haven't checked it out, definitely check out audiobooks. Maybe you Overdrive, which is connected to the library. Bard Mobile has a good app. Audible, if you're an Audible person, they have a really good app. What do you use for audiobooks, Cayla?
I mainly use Bard, and then if they don't have a book that I want, then Audible is my backup.
Yes, I do like Audible. I like Overdrive, which is connected to the library, because a lot of books I can get there, but sometimes you got to wait. For example, there was a new Star Wars book that came out this year, and the wait time is like 4 months to get an audio copy of this book. Like, I don't want to pay $20 for this book, but do I want to wait 4 months? I don't know, maybe. So, all right. Well, it looks like we're on the last question number 5. So go for it, Cayla.
Okay, so if you were still visually impaired, but you could change one aspect of it, would you rather, well, now that I think about this question, it's really similar to what we were just talking about, but I'll finish it. Okay, you could just change one aspect of your vision impairment. Would you rather be able to read print, which is any kind of print, so I guess that would include like books, but also paperwork and things like that?
Yeah.
Or would you rather not run into things? Like if you could have some kind of sensor on your body that just prevented you from running into stuff.
Interesting. So I think for me, I don't have a huge issue with running into stuff right now. Occasionally, when things pop up, I have a decent amount of vision, and hopefully the guide dog will help with that as well. But paperwork is always an issue. Even just signing my name is an issue. So I think I would definitely go with wanting to see printed material, whether that's a book, whether that's a newsletter home from the kids, whether that's a magazine, something like that. I would want to see print, because I think it would open up a lot more opportunities with different things. So yeah, that's what I would go for. What about you, Cayla?
I think I would pick not running into things. That's an issue I have. And I think our vision is different. I believe you still have peripheral vision?
Yes,
right?
I still have peripheral vision.
So I've never had peripheral vision. So even like when I was younger, I didn't use a cane because my central vision, like I said, I mean, I was still legally blind, but my central vision wasn't too bad, but I never had peripheral. So I was always tripping over things and running into things all the time. So I think I would go with that. And I mean, a cane helps, but there's sometimes that it'll go underneath something, or something will like hit you in the head. Or I mean, of course, I walk around my house without my cane, and I'll like turn a corner too sharp and I'll run into the couch, or a cabinet will get left open and I'll hit my head on it. So I think I would definitely pick not running into things.
That's interesting. It's amazing. And again, we talked about the spectrum, how just flipping your vision, having no central vision versus having no peripheral vision, how that would affect, you getting around and so forth. I know there was a time, I think last year, my friends in their basement have this like sauna thing, and it's wooden, but it's got large like glass panels all around it, and the doors got, big glass. And so my kids were down there and they were playing inside of it, and the door was closed. So I was just kind of walking straight up to it and bang my head right into the glass. And so my kids thought it was funny, which it was funny, like afterwards. But those are the kind of moments when I'm like, oh, this really sucks. But yeah, I think having that ability to get around well, especially if it's an issue for you, that's a great point. I had not considered that, especially with the different level of vision and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let's hop into the chat. Let's see here.
People and objects will no longer magically appear out of the air.
Let's see. Let me find out where I'm at.
Not use a magnifier lens because of too much eye strain. I would want to be able to read print.
Okay, we got read print, read print.
To see printed materials.
Printed materials, read print, read print, read print, read print.
Gladly take a sensor. People and objects would no longer magically appear out
Juan
of the
says he'd take a sensor. Objects would no longer appear out of the air. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Travel aspect. I'd rather a vehicle detector, as when I'm crossing roads, the stealth engines mean the cars see.
Lynn says that they would take a sensor for traveling. They would like a vehicle sensor because some of those quiet engines can really be disorienting, and that's very true.
Mm-hmm.
I have central and no.
Let's see. Yeah, Fran agrees with Lynn as well. So yeah, a lot of reading print, but a few people saying, especially for that travel aspect. I think when I think about like running into things, like you mentioned, running into the couch, running into a pole, running into a tree hanging down. But traveling, that'd be a tougher choice, because if I'm thinking about crossing the road, or if I'm thinking about getting to a certain place around something, I think I'd probably still go with reading print, but I sure would like to know when the cars are coming, for sure. Yeah. That would be definite. Somebody asked me, how does your dog know when the cars are coming? Or when it's safe to cross the street? I'm like, well, they don't know when it's safe to cross the street. You have to know. But that would be nice if the dog could be like, okay, let's go, buddy.
That'd be a pretty smart dog.
That would be. Of course, if the dog was talking to me, that'd be a whole nother issue, probably. All right, so most people say reading print, but of course, just that travel aspect as well. All right, looks like it's time for my question 5. Okay. Okay, so this one is being blind and kind of would you rather that you have now. Would you rather greet a person like at a party that you know but you don't recognize? So they come up to you, hi Derek, how you doing? Like, hey. Would you rather do that, or would you rather look for a green object in the grass?
How important is this object I'm trying to find? Or like, how much time do I have to find it? Am I really in a hurry and it's really important?
Well, let's raise the stakes. Let's say that the person you're meeting at the party is your boss, but you don't realize who it is, like a really high up boss. And the thing you're trying to find is you've only got like 5 minutes to find it, or it's gonna blow up.
I would maybe pick trying to find something green in the grass, because I find things by feeling around anyways, so it doesn't really matter if it's green or not. And I feel like I'm pretty efficient feeling around to try and find something, and maybe even more than a sighted person. The other day I dropped an earring back on the floor, and I'm like feeling around and I can't find it, so I asked my husband for help. So he's looking and I'm feeling, and I'm like, let's see who finds it first, and found it first. So I think I would pick that, because if I could feel around for it, I mean, I guess it depends on how large the area of grass is, but
sure,
I would do that than deal with the social awkwardness of talking to someone that I don't know who they are.
I always hate reintroducing myself. We were at a band concert for my son maybe a month ago, And this guy said, Derek. And I was like, hey. And so then I started going through the Rolodex in my mind, like, okay, who could this be?
Mm-hmm.
Who would be at a band concert? So then I tried to ask questions like, hey, oh, is your child in the band? And they're like, yeah, my daughter is in 6th grade, but she's playing with the 7th grade band. And I was like, still doesn't help me. And so I tried to ask more questions, but it was about, a 2-minute conversation. And I, met my wife. And she was like, who is that? I was like, not a clue. I could never figure it out. And my wife's like, why didn't you just say, like, I'm sorry, who are you? Like, people always say, you have a great excuse. I'm like, I know, but it's so weird to be like, I don't know who you are,
Mm.
And the reason I said green and the grass, contrast and things like that, depending on how much vision people have left. I hate, and I don't know about you and other people, I hate, quote, looking blind, like feeling around for something. And I think
Yeah.
that's just the little bit of the sighted version of me I have left. I don't want people to focus on the blind part, So I do hate this. It'd be hard to choose one. Probably the grass. I just have to be like, forget it. Because it's embarrassing for me to be like, hey, I don't have a clue who you are. Can you tell me
Right.
your name and
I
where
know.
we know each other from?
Yeah, especially I feel like when someone comes up to me, this happened to me a couple weeks ago. I was at an event that my old college sorority would do, and so a lot of the alum come. And so I'm like, okay, I know there's going to be people here that I knew really well, like 5 years ago, and they're probably going to come up to me, and I'm not going to know who they are. And so one girl, she like comes up and she hugs me and she's like, Cayla, and I'm like, hey, and I'm like, I feel like I look rude, like, because I'm not happy to see her, but it's just because I'm trying to figure out who it is. So I probably just like look really confused for the first 2 minutes before it like clicks in. That's like, oh yeah, that's who that is. We used to be really close, but at first I'm just like, oh hi, and they're probably like, oh well, she apparently wasn't excited to see me, so I hate that.
My life did not make an impact on her life, clearly. She
Right.
didn't even remember. It is always just so awkward. I think, and this, I don't know how to say this without sounding braggy, but I have a good enough personality where I can fumble through a conversation and, act like, oh yeah, man, how's it going? It's great. But I'm like always like mentally racing through going, who could this be? And context is important. Like if
Mhm.
I'm in a, something for my kid's school or at church or something like that, that narrows the field. If I'm
Mhm.
out at a restaurant, this restaurant, so it's like, oh, who is this? Lynn commented in the chat, like they said, I cheat. I just ask who they are. And it's like, oh, come on, don't cheat. You gotta figure it out.
Well,
But yeah, at some point, I have somebody. Go ahead.
Just as awkward to ask who they are, especially like in the situation I was talking about with this old sorority sister of mine. It's like I knew her so well, like we were really good friends. We had like sleepovers and stuff, and it's like, I
Yep.
feel like it would be so much more awkward to be like, who are you, than to like sit there and try to figure out. I mean, neither is ideal. Both of them are really awkward situations, but I think
Yes,
it's worth to
absolutely.
ask who they are if it's someone that you knew really well.
Yeah, I think I have had people ask me this, hey, do you know who I am? And that's annoying to me. That's almost as annoying as how many fingers am I holding up? That's really
Right.
annoying.
Yes.
But do you know who I am, or do you remember me? I usually say something like, should I? Like, are you important enough for me to know and remember? But yeah, it's like, I don't know you. And, sometimes I might be like, can you help me out? I don't recognize your voice or whatever. And like, oh yeah, it's, Joe or whatever. I'm like, okay, yeah. And then we go on. But I'm always, I don't know why people have said, well, you have a great built-in excuse. It's fine. I'm like, I know, but I just feel like I should know people, which is dumb because I shouldn't. But, if I can't see them. I mean, when was the last time you talked to that person at that event?
Probably 3 or 4 years ago, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not like her voice or any of their voices were implanted on your brain. Like,
Right.
if you go to church with a group of people, you probably have, they start talking, you probably got them memorized, like, but if I don't talk to you on a regular basis, I probably don't know you, and so don't be offended if I don't.
Right.
Let's see here.
With the meeting, the person and they're trying to find something in the grass.
Steven says, meeting the person.
I have to ask at church even though I have been going for 3 decades.
Lynn says they have to ask at church even though they've been going for 3 decades. You know, I used to be in full-time ministry, and for the most part, I would be pretty good. I pastor a small church, and so it wasn't that big a deal. But anytime somebody would move from their regular seat, in air quotes, regular seat, I'm like, stop moving. I memorize you where you're sitting. Don't move around.
I get that. I'm an intern right now, and I teach parenting classes. And so we have one class, it meets every Monday night, and it's like an 8-week class, but we always have new people coming in and old people leaving because it's an open group, and they sit in different seats every week. And so I'm like, I don't know who anybody is, and I'm like, can they please just sit in the same seats so I know who's who?
Can't we assign these people seats, for goodness sakes? Jeez. Yeah, that would be annoying. It's like Lynn mentioned in the chat that she's walked past her own children in the street before. And I know, like, every once in a while I will be somewhere, and I'll be standing there, and I'm like, is this the person I'm with? You know, especially my wife, not so much. I've got her down, but you know, it's like, is this them? Because I don't want to be like, okay, you ready to go? And they're like, I don't know you, sir. Who are you?
Yeah. I do that all the time. It's like if the person I'm with moves slightly, I'm like, okay, is that them? Is that not them? And sometimes it is them, and sometimes it's not. And I realize it, and I'm like, ooh, well, thank goodness I didn't like say something to them.
Yes, that would be embarrassing for sure. But that's all right. Oh well.
Yeah.
Well, that is my last question. I think playing these games, I think we're supposed to, after this, we're supposed to nominate or challenge people. So why don't we take a second to think about that? And in the meantime, Cayla, why don't you tell us about your channel, what you do, and where people can hop on over and get you?
Okay. So my channel is Cayla with a C. So it's just spelled out Cayla with a C. And I make videos just about my life being legally blind, and offer some tips and advice to other visually impaired people. And I also try to educate sighted people who happen to maybe watch my videos. But I kind of mainly like to just be some person, or a person that other visually impaired people can relate to. Like, if you watch my videos and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel the same way, because when I was watching blind YouTubers before I started my channel, that's something that really helped me, just to be able to watch other people and be like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm the same way. So I like to be just relatable, and so yeah, that's me.
That's Cayla with a C. All right, so make sure to subscribe to Cayla's channel. There is going to, if you're watching this on the replay or even now, there is a link in the description box where you can go over and hop to her channel and subscribe. Not subscribe, but subscribe. That's just a little pet peeve of mine. Anyway, check out her channel. She got some great videos. She talks about lots of good topics. Check it out. Now, Cayla, I do have to ask a question because I'm curious about it, and I think it's fun for people with sight loss to engage in different things. But I notice you wear glasses. So are your glasses for protection? Do they give you protection from objects, sunlight? Do they correct your vision at all? What are your glasses for?
They correct my vision very slightly. So I can see just a teeny bit clearer with them. And I think it's something that, like, I'm just used to it because I've worn glasses since I was 4. And I think glasses probably helped me, like, they corrected my vision more when I was younger, and they don't correct it as much now. But like, I'm so used to wearing them, and I don't know, I guess it seems worth it to have just that little bit of difference, just to see things just a tiny bit clearer. So they don't help a lot. They don't correct my vision a lot. Just just a little bit.
But like you said, you've been wearing them since, as long as you remember, a long time. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's probably, very used to that feel of having the glasses on, having your eyesight, go through the lenses, if you will, that sort of thing.
Right.
I know
But
for me, I did try to wear glasses, but they strained my eyes. So that kind of, it didn't work out for me. But for you, it seems great.
yeah, I mean, I think sometimes like if I'm not wearing my glasses, sometimes I can't really notice a difference. Um, but I don't know. Sometimes I can. I feel like I don't know. Maybe I think that they help me more than they actually do, and I'm just so used to wearing them. So
Yeah, that's fair.
I
I mean, it's part of, who you are. And like, I've always worn these, so I'll just, keep on wearing them. So,
right.
but I think it's interesting because some people will say like, well, you're blind. Why are you wearing glasses? Or they
Mhm.
expect every blind person to be wearing glasses, so it's a kind of a different thing. So I was just curious myself. I thought we'd all could talk about it and
Yeah.
share together. All right. I've got just a little bit after noon here at my time. So just a couple of more minutes. If you guys have any questions or comments you want to make in the chat, feel free to do that. But I want to thank everybody for joining us, for checking out the live stream, for giving us all your answers. It seems like we were all pretty much on very similar pages with a little bit of variance here and there, but it's a fun game. So we've got to challenge somebody to do this. So Cayla, do you have somebody that you would like to challenge to do this Would You Rather blind edition?
I think I would challenge my friend Juan from JC5 Productions and um, and Matt from Blind to Billionaire.
Blind to Billionaire. All right. So, guys, if you're watching this, you've been challenged. So you can go for it. I think for me, I would always throw Sam under the bus in these kind of situations, and I think he threw me under the bus. So, but I think since he's already done it, I will not. I think I will challenge my friend Jason from Independently Blind, and I think he was on the stream today, obviously, so I'll challenge him. And then Vincent from My Visually Impaired Life. So you guys can do it however you want. You don't have to do it together. You can do it however you'd like to. You can do it with your spouses, or you could do it with another YouTuber or whatever. It's just a fun way to talk about our blindness without being so heavy-handed, like I'm blind and oh, this is terrible. But it's just a fun little game to play. So, Cayla, thank you so much for joining me today. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for suggesting we do it together. Any last words or comments here on the live stream?
Just thank you for agreeing to do this with me. I've looked up to your channel before I started my own, and I always enjoy your videos because I feel like you have a lot of good advice to offer and a lot of good insight, but you're also funny too. So when I saw this tag and I was like, oh, that'd be really fun to do this with Derek. So thanks for saying yes to my suggestion and playing this game with me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I'll send that $10 for all those kind words to you later on today. All right, guys. Well, it's been a lot of fun. I thank everybody for joining us here on the live stream. And if you guys, of course, if you have any comments, questions, or whatever, leave them in the comments down below. Let us know what you guys think, if you have any ideas for the future, or if you just want to say, hey, I know that I love, and I'm sure Cayla as well, love hearing from you guys. And it's just a big reminder that we are not alone. And as I always say at the end of my videos, sight loss isn't the end. It's just the beginning. My name's Derek for Cayla. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys in the next one.